Hey, everybody. Today is the 31st of December, a new year in a couple of hours by us. And that's the perks of having kids. When you have kids that need to go to bed early, you can then use the time between midnight and like 9 in the evening to then still record a podcast. So we're going to talk about Meta. And today we're going to talk about it, but we're also going to do our first video podcast in English. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we did our first video podcast in German. We're still not sure if we're switching the entire show to a video podcast. For you, there's probably not a big difference who's listening to the podcast, but you can also watch it on YouTube and you can watch it on Spotify, whatever. And I know many of you are watching while driving, so please don't drive and watch, but do it at home. So today we're going to talk about the fact that Meta is buying Manus. Now, Manus is a very crazy company. It's a company that I think raised their $500 million round half a year ago or something like that. And today they were bought at $2.5 billion. And on paper, they're a Chinese company. They are a Chinese company that has just been bought by an American company, and not any American company, Meta. And if you don't know what Manus is like an AI agent startup. So it's a platform where you can go and you can tell Manus the following. This is a use case that we always teach in our academy. So let's say you're looking for a job. You can tell Manus the following. Here's 10 criteria that's important for me. Where I live, the type of job that I want, the type of company. It must not be a startup. It must be a scale-up. This is the type of role I'm looking for. This is how much I want to earn, etc. And then you rank these criteria. And then you say, every day at 3 in the morning, can you go and look for 15 jobs for me? And by the way, put the link on top where I can apply and make it a dashboard. So in the dashboard, there's always right away the letter that you're going to send, the cover letter. And Manus does all of that. Manus does all the steps. And it's really wild. It's really, really wild. And I find in Europe, people were not using Manus. A lot of people were worried about data safety, which I kind of understand because it was a Chinese company. Then they kind of moved to Singapore. So we're going to talk about the move to Singapore. Why did they move to Singapore? And what does Meta not know about Manus? Like, why did they pay 4 times the price of the company in just 8 months? And this will hopefully give you some ideas on why you should be using Manus right now. Because we've been using Manus for months. I don't have many use cases on Manus. I'll share a few of them with you. But essentially, this acquisition matters because everybody's talking about AI agents, but hopefully 2026 is going to be the year that AI agents are going to materialize in production, not in pilots, but in production. And I think Meta is showing us the way. So yeah, everybody, action, let's go.
Flip the switch, the circuit's live. Digital dreams, they thrive and strive. Recipes coded to feed your mind, serving knowledge of the AI kind. Welcome to the AI Cookbook Show, where the data streams and the insights flow. Tune in slow, let the rhythm grow. For every soul in the know and those who don't.
Before we look into Manus, how about we look into the founders of Manus? So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And again, for those who are listening to it as a podcast, don't worry, it's essentially very empty slides. There's not a lot inside. And I don't want you also to lose your time trying to switch just because of this, right? Now, what do we see here? What's very, very interesting is it is one of the fastest startups ever, which means the following. It grew from 0 to $100 million ARR in just 8 months. And it is said that the deal was made in just 10 days. So why the hell is Meta running after these guys? And who the hell are these guys. So let's look at these guys. So the first one is a gentleman called, and I'm going to trash their name, so I'm really sorry. His name is Xiao Hong, okay? And Xiao Hong is a very interesting guy. He's born 1992 in the Hubei province in China. He's only 33 years old. But he's not just started with Manus. This is a guy who's been building productivity tools since his 20s. Actually, his first success was somehow like an assistant. It was called Weiban. And Weiban is a WeChat productivity tool. So for those who don't know, in China, you can live in WeChat. You can go to the restaurant and pay in WeChat. You can book in WeChat. You can buy everything in WeChat. You can book your holiday in WeChat. You can pay government bills in WeChat. WeChat is like a sort of ecosystem in which everything is there. Now, WeChat has probably, whatever, 1 billion users, maybe a bit less, I don't know. So they built a productivity tool, and 2 million users used the productivity tool, and it got acquired. And you can imagine, when it gets acquired, what he could do is he could take the money and retire. But what did he do? He met his co-founder. And his co-founder is a guy called Yi Jiao. Oh my God. Ji Yichao. So the nice thing about him is he goes by Peak G. So that's very easy. And Peak G, think about it. Peak G built a mobile web browser. Now, do you understand this? He built an entire mobile web browser. Yeah, okay, clever guys. No, while he was still in high school, he made the top 30 under 30 list in China, in Forbes China, and you can imagine how many people there are over there. So as a teenager, Peak G built a functioning mobile browser. So kind of that's the kind of technical talent we're talking about with this rockstar duo. And in 2022, just a few years ago, they founded a company called Butterfly Effect in China. And they then did the next thing. They built a browser extension, which was kind of like ChatGPT and Claude together. This was called Monica.im. It could do basic things like search assistance, writing, translation, etc. And then it got 10 million users. And they were still not satisfied with that because they saw something much, much bigger coming. And in October 2024, they started building Manus. So they launched it to the world, I think, in March. So this was basically 9 months ago. You could not get at the time a code, like a registration. You could buy them. People were selling registration codes for their app because their demo really, really went viral. The demo is, now you kind of see it more often. Atlas is doing this from ChatGPT. Comet from Perplexity is doing that, etc. But what they were showing is building entire websites from a prompt, which now Lovable can do. Planning complex itineraries, which now Perplexity can do, etc. Autonomous resume screening, all of these things. But a couple of months or nearly half a year before anybody else was doing this. Okay, remember that for their browser extension, they had 10 million users. Well, a week after they launched Manus, they had 2 million people on the wait list. 2 million people who were waiting to go and use this thing. And Chinese media, obviously, they were celebrating this thing. Wow, great. Now we have Manus, which is like, we have DeepSeek, now we have Manus, etc. And they called it a national success story. But this is when things got really complicated. And the reason it gets complicated is also the reason why my customers, when I show them the tech stack of Manus, they kind of like it, they see it, they understand it's a Chinese company, and they keep their hands away from it. And they already, the fact that it's a Chinese company not only closes the market for US and European companies, and you could say that's not a problem because China is big enough. Yes, this is correct. But if you want to grow and if you want to expand, you need to be able to cater to all of these Western markets also. And it's not only the fact that users don't want it, it's for Chinese companies, it's a huge minefield. Well, you have a few things. You have US export controls that you can't get away from. You have the fact that you cannot buy NVIDIA chips. It's a mess to buy NVIDIA chips, so you cannot do training on the latest chips. American investors, you cannot get access to American capital or European capital. And there's not a lot of European capital anyway, so nobody cares about this. So if you want to serve global customers, you need to do something. And the CEO, Mr. Hong, he decided to do something, and he decided to do something relatively clever. He said, okay, we are now going to move to Singapore. Oh, Singapore? Yeah, because Singapore is not China. We have a lot of freedom in Singapore. And this probably also came from the big investment round that they had. Because Manus raised $75 million from Benchmark Capital. Now, for those who don't know what Benchmark Capital is an American conglomerate. It's an American investment firm. And, they've invested in, I don't know, for example, Uber and Dropbox and Instagram. So they kind of have a very good idea where to invest in and not. And they invested in Manus. And because Manus was a Chinese company and they had Tencent as an investor and Sequoia, but Sequoia China, Zen Fund, etc., there was a lot of Chinese money on this. And because now an American company invested on this, what happened was senators in the US started looking at Manus a bit more. Like, hey, what the hell's happening over there? And actually, Senator John Cornyn, he criticized the deal. He said, look, who thinks it's a good idea for American investors to subsidize our biggest adversary in AI? Do you understand this? He does not see that this private company is investing in something. He's saying, look, if we invest in Manus, an American company, then they're helping China to grow. And by the way, and what he also said further, he said, they can actually challenge us economically and militarily. And then the US Treasury started investigating this thing and saying, are US American funds allowed to invest in Chinese AI companies? So I guess to dissipate and to disseminate the situation, they moved everything. Like they moved their headquarters from Beijing to Singapore, and they laid off, I think, like 80 or 90 employees in China. So they only moved the core engineers to Singapore. They deleted all their Chinese social media accounts, and they even canceled their partnership with Alibaba's AI division. Hey, come on. Let's be real about this. What is this? This is just called the Singapore wash, okay? 100 billion%. Actually, Singapore, when Trump stopped the exports of NVIDIA cards to China, funnily enough, Singapore became one of the biggest importers of NVIDIA GPUs in the world. There's not a single major data center in Singapore. Why do you need so many GPUs? Well, because afterwards they were imported to China, right? Now, and this also came up in one of the workshops that we did recently, okay? Where we do these 4 weeks where we work with companies and do capacity building. We normally always, show lots of stuff very practically, and then afterwards we open for questions. And one of the things that came up was right away when I showed Manus was somebody was very clever in there, and somebody said, but where does it come from? And I said, well, at the time I said, well, they're located in Singapore. And they said, no, but they're a Chinese company. And it does not matter what I could have said to this gentleman. He said, well, this is still a Chinese company. And this Singapore wash is indeed a big problem. Even now, when Meta is buying Manus, what do you have? You have Meta spokespeople saying, well, there will be no continuing Chinese ownership. Just for you to know, Manus will cease operations in China. Didn't they do that before? Anyway, who cares? So the point is, they're probably paying out the Chinese investors, and they're probably going to move it probably to the US. Now, look at the slide. Isn't this exactly the TikTok playbook? Because the TikTok playbook is exactly what happened. ByteDance, they tried something very similar. They relocated and restructured and distanced themselves from Beijing. And you know the CEO of ByteDance, when the CEO of TikTok, when you see him always in front of Congress, and they're asking him, where you're from? Are you from China? Are you a communist? He's like, I'm from Singapore. I'm from Singapore. Actually, it's a meme now, right? Now, the point is, they also tried to differentiate themselves and also tried to relocate. And today, they're still fighting legal battles. So Manus just got acquired by an American tech for $2.5 billion. And somehow, here, the Singapore wash worked. And not only did the Singapore wash work, but why the hell did Meta pay so much for it? And you could say, well, the number's not so big, but the multiple is huge. Because versus their revenues or versus their last valuation, which was just half a year ago, there's a huge X just on the valuation. Okay, let's look at Meta now. What is Meta doing? As you can see here, Meta is spending between $60 and $70 billion on AI infrastructure in 2025 alone. Now, this number is so big because they're buying and they're building data centers. They're buying every GPU they can get their hand on. They're hiring researchers for, billion-dollar salaries. Absolutely wild. And how much revenue are they generating from all of this AI investment? Zero. Anybody who knows the Polish MP? Zero. Would you invest billions in a company that then generates zero revenue? So they're under pressure. They're under huge pressure because Meta AI has not been commercialized. Meta AI exists across Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. There are no enterprise contracts like in ChatGPT or Claude. And OpenAI, what are they doing? I mean, they're making $3.5 or $3.7 billion a year from ChatGPT subscriptions. Hey, Mr. Meta, what's happening? And not only this, Meta's own large language model, Llama 4, it was launched earlier this year, and it has been brutally destroyed by everybody. It's like poor coding performance, lots of reasoning inconsistencies, etc. Essentially, to say it in another word, it was an absolute disaster. But along comes Manus. Now, this is where Malcolm, personally think it's a huge and great move. Why? Because they're not spending money on something that will capitalize in 5 years, build the data centers, get the GPUs, train new models. No. They're buying something that, for many reasons, A, is already working, like it has a customer base. B, it's already making money. Manus is making money. C, they have millions of users. So Meta is spending money for once in the AI world on something really that has been tried and tested. Now, what does Manus give Meta? Okay, Manus gives Meta a core capability that they don't have. Because these AI browsers that came out, Perplexity, Comet Perplexity, or Atlas from ChatGPT, you need a team who understands how to set up working AI agents. Wait, Manus has probably the best team in the world that knows how to ship agentic networks. And they're just not researchers who are publishing papers. They're building a product, and they build it from zero to $100 million in 8 months. So they have a team, they have a technology that actually works. And what does Meta have? Meta has the distribution. Because Meta combined with Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp and everything, they have 3 billion users to which they can actually sell this or give this as a premium of wanting to stay in the Meta universe. So why am I such a fan of Manus? So Manus is very cool because it's able to autonomously execute tasks. Yeah, but Malcolm, you say that Claude Code can also do that. Yes, Claude Code can do that, but Claude Code cannot create a virtual browser or virtual computer. One of the use cases that I show HR teams is I say, stop doing web-based training. So I open Manus and I log into Coursera and I say, do this entire Coursera course. And you go away, 15 minutes, half an hour. Manus clicks itself through. It clicks through the CAPTCHA. It does the CAPTCHA. Then afterwards, it will complete the course. It will write extra comments to get extra points, and it will even pass the test. And if it doesn't, it's going to do a retake because it wants more than 90%. This does not exist with other AI browsers. If we just take one step back, because we talked about ChatGPT Operator, or now it's called Atlas, it's really bad. It kind of gets stuck in loops. It asks for confirmation constantly. It's like horrible to work with. And Perplexity Comet is not bad, but to be honest, I have still not understood how to use it, It can interact with multiple tabs, but then it gets lost, but then it gets confused. People love it, but I haven't really seen it, how to be able to do that. And then there's Strawberry and Claude. And for Strawberry, we can do a totally separate episode because Strawberry is really, really good in terms of capabilities and being able to look through things. So the difference between the way that we work now with AI is we say to the AI, do it, and then the AI goes and does it. With Manus, you just say, this is the end result. Like, finish this Coursera course for me with 90%. And it will find out which tasks it needs to do. It will click itself through. It's very powerful for job research, like we were saying, because in job research, you need to click yourself through multiple websites, not only LinkedIn, but maybe Indeed, but maybe the websites of Siemens or BASF, and go and look for jobs, etc. And sometimes we've seen customers ask us to do this during a use case sprint. So what's a use case sprint? And why am I teaching you my methodology so that you can go and take this and do it yourself because it just works so well? A use case sprint is you say, okay, we've got this use case, let's crack it. And let's not do a pilot and 6 months, no. Let's crack it in the next week. Let's try to see which 10 technologies exist and let's try to crack it. And let's see how this task, which takes hours on end, can be done in minutes. And it was found out in one of the use cases, or some of the use cases, that Manus is just the best. You don't need a mega prompt. You don't need to point which agents does what. You just kind of need to say, hey, this is the outcome that I would like to have. Go for it. And this is very cool. Now, I was talking about virtual computers. When Manus does a task, it goes and creates a virtual computer. Do you know that Manus created over 80 million virtual computers in the cloud? Because every time you ask it for a task, it spins up its own computer. And that computer keeps working even after you close the browser. By the way, what I love about Manus is also the app. They have an app that works so well where you can see retroactively what Manus does, so it's auditable. It's just absolutely fantastic. Now, let's think on the one big thing where I think that Manus is going to make an impact in Meta's world. Now, this is the section I am most excited about because it's very logical to me, okay? Now, here's a number for you. 200 million. Not users, not money, no. 200 million businesses use WhatsApp Business globally. So, who uses WhatsApp Business? Well, we use WhatsApp Business. Our number on our website is connected to our WhatsApp, and many customer inquiries I get through WhatsApp. People will just write to me on WhatsApp. But restaurants use it, hair salons, mechanics, real estate agents, and so on and so forth. I know enough companies who run their entire business on WhatsApp. And what do they spend a lot of time working on? Well, just answering messages, just manually answering messages, having an overview of who wanted what, when. Many times, many people are on a WhatsApp account. It's a huge mess. And now there are basic chatbots. But when you write to a business and there's a chatbot answering to you on WhatsApp, you will never, ever talk to them again. But now, imagine Manus is integrated in WhatsApp Business. And this is very, very cool. Now, because now you will have a digital employee that will work for you in WhatsApp. I will have a digital employee who will work for me in WhatsApp. Well, many use cases. Let's take the restaurant. Okay, you write and you say, what are the opening times? Or what's on the menu tonight? And it doesn't just say, here's a link for the menu. It says, just tell me what you like, what are the top, do you have any allergies? Or you tell the agent, and then it goes, and then it finds on the menu, it finds the things for you, and then it proposes something, and maybe it books a table for you automatically. And it's 24/7 and speaks all the languages in the world. Now, when you write to a business on WhatsApp, it's a pain. You always need to wait. Maybe they're sleeping. They answer the next day. It's totally unfriendly. Or a clinic or a salon, haircut salon. You actually see that I need a haircut. So I need a haircut Thursday afternoon. Then it might check the calendar. It might ask you. It might help you. It might pick the person that you want to cut your hair. Because now somebody actually sits down and does that, the Einteilung, putting people who need to work. But you could do all of that super easy if you connect also Manus through WhatsApp with your distribution or with your CRM. E-commerce work, e-commerce shops, where's my order, real estate agents, etc., etc., etc. Basically, we have seen clients in professional services, the ones that want to automate customer intake, they have it really, really difficult because their customer intake, if the customer intake is through an informal channel like WhatsApp, it's very difficult to connect WhatsApp to Copilot or to connect it to all the other sources. It doesn't really work. So they still end up doing it manually. And when we work through use cases with customers and we try to build something super complicated for them, sometimes the answer is, look, we'll build it. It's going to cost you $500,000 or just wait 3 months. What do you mean just wait 3 months? Well, probably now I would say just wait because Manus was integrated or Manus was bought by Meta. Probably in 3 months it's going to be integrated in your WhatsApp. And this is the point because every small business, even a one-man person, can now get digital employees where they need them. Facebook is also a platform where people still do business on Facebook. On Instagram, lots of people make lots of money on Instagram, but it's still a very manual job. And for that manual job, we are hiring people. You're hiring people all over the world, in Kenya, in Morocco, in Brazil, in Argentina, and you're paying them, I don't know, a couple of $100. But maybe if Meta comes to you and say, our digital employee only costs, $50 a month, $100 a month, speaks all the languages, works 24/7 on your platform, then maybe some companies will stop hiring these part-time employees. And this, I think, is the reason why Meta spent $2.5 billion, because they see a future where 200 million businesses would be paying for their AI agents. All right, let's talk if this acquisition is actually good or bad. Now, while I think it's great that Meta bought Manus, I think for us consumers, it might not be so good. Because Manus was operating freely, they could do whatever they wanted, there was no corporate bureaucracy, and that's obviously going to change when such a big monster like Meta buys them, right? Because startups kind of lose independence, and not only this, there are many other reasons why. My good buddy Mark, I was writing to him, I was like, oh, it's so good that Meta bought Manus, and he said, man, they're probably going to shelve it. So they probably want to buy themselves some competitive space, maybe because they're buying or building their own thing. I don't know. But for the 3 billion people who use the Meta ecosystem and who've never heard of Manus, this might be actually really good, because there might be an element of democratized access. You see, I need to read that word, so difficult word. Democratized access, where billions of people will get AI agents, not by coding them and knowing them, but no, by opening their WhatsApp or their Facebook store. And it's also probably going to be cheaper at the beginning because Meta wants to subsidize this and create a moat, because now they're not good at building models. They're not good at AI. Oh, maybe they can be good at deploying AI agents to everybody. And obviously, Meta's entire infrastructure, which are all the servers that they have and all the engineering resources, will be great because Manus will be able to work on a very, very reliable infrastructure. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, privacy. Because when you have a powerful AI agent that does stuff for you, it knows your data. To give Manus access to my Coursera, I need to log in so it knows my password, because my password is on its virtual machine. And maybe I log into Gmail. Oh my God, then it has access to all my files. So the pros here but is Meta has to comply with GDPR in Europe. So their hands are tied, and they will want to build a serious security infrastructure so that that topic of data safety never, ever comes up again. Yeah, but Malcolm, you said if people start using digital employees in WhatsApp, they will not get their part-time employees anymore. Yes, for sure. For sure, people are going to lose their job once Manus is deployed in WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. Because now we're paying part-time people to do data analysis, customer service, to reschedule appointments. People are paying part-time people for that. So junior roles, admin roles, my God, these are tasks that Manus does really, really, really well. So I think today that Manus can already do very strong tasks that the junior person does, if the task is specific enough. And I really want to use that word specific enough because AI agents in general are not good at doing things if the task is not specific enough. And in one of the recent keynotes that I did in Vienna, it was chaired by EY. Basically, I talked about the shift from asking AI or using AI to do tasks to basically directing AI so that it does tasks. And this is very different because when you work with AI agents, you can say, you figure out how many helpers you need. I just want you to get there. Now, companies are not getting ahead because they're not teaching their people how to properly also use AI agents, because it's a bit different. It's difficult to manage them. It's difficult to set them up, etc. But if you are now going on WhatsApp and you ask WhatsApp to do something in WhatsApp for Business, and WhatsApp for Business says, I have 10 digital employees, and the task that you ask me is an admin employee. Do you want to use that admin AI agent? And that only costs you 50 euros a month. Probably you would do it. So now you're probably not replacing one person in your team. You're probably replacing many people in your team. And that's why agent management, workflow design, all of these things are really, really important in 2026. And now we talked about the story, the geopolitics, etc. Now let's get very practical. What are 3 things or a couple of things that you can do today? Try Manus now. Don't wait for the Meta integration, because the Meta integration could take weeks, could take months, could take years. Go to manus.im, because Meta just paid $2.5 billion for this. Clearly, it's something worth trying. Don't you think so? Secondly, a tip for you how to start is choose a research task. So I have multiple research tasks where every day Manus in the night searches for stuff and then gives me not only the result, but also worked out maybe as a dashboard, maybe something that I can import and throw into Claude, etc. And by the way, you can also tell Manus to build your dashboard. It does really, really, really nice dashboards. Now, the next one is, if you're a business owner, try to think about your own repetitive tasks. Like, what do you and your employees do over and over again? Probably data entry, invoice follow-up, customer inquiries, who the hell knows? Because list them. List them somewhere, because these are perfect candidates for an AI automation agent system. If you have no idea what I spoke about in the last 35 minutes, then please come to the academy. But only come to the academy if you're a business leader, okay? Come to the academy and understand how these autonomous AI agent systems are going to be deployed in your company, and what you need to know and what you need to be able to do as a business leader to influence that. Okay, so Meta just bought Manus. So the biggest signal, if I summarize this in one sentence, is we're moving away from AI that chats to AI that works, that does stuff. From AI that suggests you should do stuff to AI that's actually executing tasks. And from AI that would be nice if it was possible, no, that's already servicing lots of users and generating $100 million for a company that didn't exist a year ago. So for me, 2026 is not anymore, let's see if AI agents will work. No, no, no. The agentic AI era is already here. And Manus is the best example of this, and Meta clearly understood this. So it's 9:48 here. It's time for me to leave because we need to get ready to jump into the new year 2026. That's it for episode 104. Happy New Year, everybody, and see you in 2026. Malcolm out.